Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to do gift tags in metallic watercolor. Supplies will need Dollar General paint pan set, number 2 pencil, watercolor paper, jar of water, paper towel, number 4 or number 6 round brush, Hobby Lobby Master Touch metallic semi-moist paint set, paper hole punch, and thin ribbon. And of course, circle templates with paper cutting designer, scissors, and black gel pen. The links will be down below. This is the 24 color metallic semi-moist color cake set, which you can get at Hobby Lobby. I am in love with this set. And then this is the Dollar General matte colors, which is really inexpensive, and it doesn't have the metallic color to it. And of course you need a clean jar of water. So first we start with using our template for circles, because I wanted circle gift tags. So I just go about doing the circles and making them the size I want, so you can decide on what you want on this. Now I did make a paw print. So I used different varieties of circles. You can erase the lines if you want after you get what you need, or lighten up the lines, but I use dark colors, so I just left the lines there. This gift tag I started out with a Dollar General color and then applied the metallic paint afterwards. So with this one that we're going to do, I'm going to use metallic paint mostly and then use the matted Dollar General. So we start out with the circles for the bird. I do a relatively bigger circle and then a small one for the head. And then I go in and erase the lines. Now this is a soft eraser. On a good pencil, you get the soft erasers. If the erasers are old, they'll leave a smudge on your paper. So I finish up with the last of the 2 circles with the birds. And you can play around with this. You can do other pictures like bubbles or different kind of birds. I'm finished with the basic outline, and I'm going to start with the paw print. So I want to put a letter S in my paw print today. I did an example or a practice run before doing this, and I came out with a paw print which I wasn't quite happy with, and my letter was a little small, so this time I'm going to do a nice big one. And here it is here. And the edges I wasn't happy with either because the paper was really fragile, and I went in with my designer scissors and tried to cut it out, but I think this time I'm going to do it a little different, so I'll show you that at the end. And then of course our clean glass of water with my cute teddy bear glass, which was a honey jar. Now I'm going to pencil in the eyes and the tail and the feathers of the wing. And for the beak I did a V, like the letter V, and did a little curve on it to make it look more like a beak. Even though the metallic colors say they're semi-moist, I found that they really needed a lot of water to be able to pick it up on your brush. So I pipetted a few drops on each cake that I wanted to use, just to make it easier. So I let it set aside while I wet down my paper so that it will be nice and moist when I got back to it. Now my paper had a lot of porous areas, so it took up a lot of water, so I had to really soak it down in order to get the effect that I needed. Every paper's different, so practice with your paper before you start. That way you know how it's going to react. By wetting the paper, you have better control of where the paint goes. This way you can keep your letter from getting covered in paint. Here I add more paint to my brush to add to the outline of the bottom side of the letter S to give it a highlight or shadowing effect to make it come off the page and look like a 3D effect. Then I go out around the edge of the circle as well. This time I'm working on dry paper. What I did was I went to rinse my brush, but instead of wiping it out and taking the color all out, I just left it there and went back and soaked this small circle with the residual paint that I had on the brush. I did the same thing with this one as well. Then I could add paint as I needed as I went along, keeping the bulk of the paint on the outside line. We want to go ahead and let the paw print dry before we go back and do the letter S. So in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and wet down the paper around all the birds and add in the background color. And it's the same principle as what we did with the paw print. We wet down the paper first, leaving the bird dry for now, and then put in the color that you want for each gift tag. The paint is dry now, so we're going to come back in and do the birds. On here, I'm just wetting the birds and keeping the wings dry and the tail and the cone dry, as well as the eye. So then you just put in the color you want. And what I did on the bottom side of the bird was add a contrasting color. It wasn't the same color, but it was a different shade of blue. And I just added that in to add a little interest. And you can work with it and do whatever you want. Now this bird, I should have waited till he was dry, but I wanted to see what the effect would be if he was still damp, and then add the beak and the tail, because I wanted the paint to bleed into the head a little bit. But after looking at it later, it probably should have been the other way around. I should have let the bird dry before adding in my color. But you can work with it and do some practice runs with your gift tag to see what you prefer. On the paw print, I went back and wet the paper and added more shadowing underneath. Now you can do this if you want, you don't have to, but I also did it on the upper circles or the smaller circles to give it some shadowing to make it look more in depth. This is where I added Dollar General paint. Now the red in this set is really vibrant and I wanted to add this to the wings. I worked on dry and wet paper trying to see which one I liked or preferred better. So you can just work with that and see what you want. Mostly I did it on dry paper because that is when I got the most vibrant color out of that red. Here I use gel pen to add a little bit more color to the letters and the outlines of the birds. You don't have to do this, this is optional, but I just thought I would go ahead and do it. On my practice run, I used the designer shears to cut out my gift tag and the paper tore. So this time I'm going to cut them out with straight scissors first, then go around them with the designer shears. And this way it come out a lot better. Here are a few of my first attempts at doing this project. and these are the final ones. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and please like and subscribe. Have a great day.